I think we have to talk to someone who started his business when he was only 16, or is it 19? And that is John Armah. Perhaps he can tell us, did he have money? And how did he even start at that age? Armah.
Bro, thank you for the opportunity. Good evening to all of you. Oh, good evening to all of you. Hey, you sound so down. This is interesting. We're all youth, as we speak. Let me try and put a context in place before I establish that point as whether or not I started at 16 or 17. And kudos to the fellow panelists for that engaging start of the program. As we speak right now, we've not built Africa. Ghana has not built enough generational businesses to say that these companies, these businesses can give back the way we see in countries like the US and Europe, etc. And so to compare our ecosystem to that ecosystem will fail because they won't give us the support we need to be able to grow our businesses, to be able to grow the ideas that we have, and so on and so forth, right? Going forward, you'd also realize that in Africa, we tend to blame our fathers and our leaders a lot for what they've done. Look, we cannot continue to blame those people from the past for the mistakes they made. This time is our time. The time of the future, the time of the youth, and we need to look at it from different angles. When you look at this, you ask yourself whether or not the ecosystem will be right at some point. It will never be right. While governments struggle to put in place and to set our macroeconomic fundamentals right, they never seem to achieve that. Since time immemorial, we've had long-term development plans, we have medium-term development plans, and the politicians will tell you. They'll tell you we've had, every year there's GPRS 1, GPRS 2, Ghana Growth Share Development Agenda as well, which always has a youth component in it. But how many of us have benefited from any of these things? It never exists. As we speak right now, 12 million young people are unemployed. 65 million young people are employed but live in poverty. What are we doing about that? So youth can be enablers and can be actors, but we need to harness that. Let me tell you how we can harness it. We can only harness our economic potential from youth if we realize that the currency that we have is our trust. If I didn't have trust, I want to be very, very practical with you. If you can't be trusted as youth, you'll never have an opportunity. If I wasn't trusted, Jerry Dean, forgive me for saying, would not have given us money to work with and pay him back. If we're not trusted, Stephen, Patrick, will not trust us. We're giving conference center for more than 3 years, and that speaks to your 16 question. When I was 17, 18, and 19, I was on radio because I needed to find my purpose. I feel like we're not having a conversation about finding purpose. Many more young people are going around asking themselves, what can I be? What is the future like? What jobs should I look forward to? And that answer lies in finding purpose. Who am I? What is that? Let the boundaries that you face today be that which lifts you up, be that which gets you thinking, and realize that passion may just be a feeling, but passion drives skill. Skill drives value, and value is what can change the economy. Value is what can change the narrative around whether Africa is poor, whether we have resources we're not exploiting, or we're not using to our advantage. The key lies in many of the people, the 77%, who are here seated and want to do. Watch something. Now, Mawena is the same thing. I've had business dealings with Mawena where we did a pitch for her. Unfortunately, the time is of the essence for me, so not time of the essence, but we've not had time to engage. Mawena, I'm coming back to you. Hear me if you're here. The future is about Africa. Africa is no longer an importer of technology. We're an exporter of technology. That's why the Redeem has a business. So when you're looking for that opportunity, first look within you. Ask yourself, who am I? What can I contribute to the economy? And who do I need to talk to? The power of networks. Who are you talking to? Who are you surrounding yourself with? Who are you learning from? Unfortunately, today, you cannot look to African leaders and our business people and determine whether or not their wealth is true. So be careful who you look forward to. And remember that the currency we have today is learning from our mistakes. Make mistakes, learn fast, get ready for the future.
Wow.
To John Armah, because when you talk of young people, we know the leaders in power today in Africa were once young. I will give one example of Joseph Kabila in DRC. He took power when he was a young person, but did he bring about change? No. I will go to Uganda. When Yoweri Museveni, the president, took power, he was also in his 30s. So my question is having young people in the political arena or in these decision-making places enough? John Armah, tell me, is it enough? Is having young people enough? Will they really bring this change?
Will politics change Africa? I don't think so. If it did, we would have seen massive change over the period. But let me see if I can address the question. If you look at the history of our democracy, like the honorable members said, you realize that a lot of young people have championed the tenets of our democracy. But we've got to interrogate the tools with which they advance that economic transformation that they sought. Whether or not we've seen the benefits thereof, that's another question that must be interrogated. So are more young people knowledgeable? Are they skilled enough to understand tools they can use for social change? So you have people like people who are using social media in Nigeria to advance policy change using Not Too Young to Run. I don't know if you're aware of that. They're able to lower the voting age to participate in democracy, to engage in leaders and stuff. And I like to be very practical. So I'll give you some practical views. When we started out in Ghana, 2011, 2009, there was nothing about startups in the country. Everybody's thinking about SMEs, etc. A commencer, I saw you here. Are you here? Where's the commencer? A commencer and I then said we were organizing events at the World Bank. I used to consult for the World Bank. And then we organized the Ghana Youth Employment Forum. And we asked our question, where will the jobs be? Out of that, we put together a policy for the government of Ghana, which was put in the 2012 budget. Echo, am I telling lies? No, it's true. Good. So if you Google it, you will see it. We understood that part of the process was getting involved. We can no longer stay back, but we can get involved at the grassroots like she did, whether it's in voting, etc. What did we do again? Realized that Ghana did not have a fund for startups. So we started again engaging government on that. And what we did was now to help government set up what we now have as NEIP, which used to be Yes Fund as well. We engaged Rasumo back in his time. Let me show you what that works to. Engaging young leaders ensures that you're showing value as well. Many of us like to interact with young people who have shown that value. Value comes from personal development. If you don't develop yourself, no one will listen to you. If you don't develop yourself, no one will give you an opportunity. And so young people must now begin to ask ourselves, what skills do we have that can help cause that change? I'll give you an example. This young man here just won the Deputy National Youth Organizer of a party no less than the NDC. Ask him how he did it. He got involved. So if we say that we are going to stay back and let the politicians lead, I'm sorry. We need to get involved. I'll give you more example. In the currency that I said about trust and advancing it to change, it surprised you to know that this man is also a client of mine, Atable. And it's amazing. I know a lot of people here who've done that. The future of our continent lies in young people getting access to skills, access to knowledge, advancing that, understanding the tools for which they can cause social change, not leaving the political class to rule us and to tell us what to do, but to engage in it, whether it's through policy action, whether it's through signing up petitions here and there, whether it's en masse demonstrating, etc. But the right to demonstrate must come from showing value. And so that's my principal point.
So this is yours. Youth and sacrifice. The last question there was asking whether the youth should sacrifice more so that we can see more development around us. And then the final question to you, Patrick, that was about whether or not the 23% are cheating the 77% in the political realm. John.
So again, thanks for the opportunity. I think we should have had more questions and interacted more with the audience to hear from them. They seem to have a lot in them that they want to share. We seem to also be asking a lot from the political class as though they're going to change our future. The politicians won't change our future. I'm sorry, Rasumo. You can't. You can put in place an enabling environment. For example, you hear talk about macroeconomic fundamentals, stabilizing prime rates, influencing interest rates, ensuring that we have a stable debt to GDP ratio, ensuring that, and if you look at all of these things, there's an underpinning. These two major political parties we have in Ghana have different ideologies. There's a socialist, there's a capitalist. So there's a difference in policy action when they assume power. So now we are going through a sort of restructuring, as the MPP says. Is it really a restructuring process? Look, companies are suffering. Companies are laying off workers. And yet you're championing policies and people are complaining. And the NDC was the same. And so the solution to it by the political class is that we should have a national policy, a national vision. And so there's a referendum on what the future should look like for us. I'm sorry. There's a stock shop from all of these two people. The future lies in us. And the sacrifice is understanding, like I said earlier, the unique gifts that we carry. Because if you take Nigeria, a company like Andela creates a small solution and has been able to raise about, 200 million USD from Facebook. Come to Ghana. I know a young man called Aloysius who runs Farmerline. He's been able to raise about 600,000 USD from this economy. I know who else? There's Agro Center by Francis Obirikon, who's been able to raise, again, another over $200,000. You can create small change from where you are. So look within, look at your environment, and find out what the problems are, and find ways around them. About sacrifice, really, look, there's nothing good comes easy. A lot of young people are living fake lives, and we are posing and we are pretending to be things that we are not. When the future demands the real things, go back to the basics. Go back to understanding who you are. Go back to understanding how you can give back to society. And you can only give back by sacrificing. So, look, for all of you out here, nothing good comes easy. It's time to put in the hard work. Government will not give you $200,000 next year. Even NEIP has not been able to give the people the amount they promised them. So please, go back, learn the basics of giving back, learn the basics of sacrifice, and we've all made those sacrifices. You asked a question about whether all of us are elitists. I'm sorry. My mom and dad were in a single room. A single room. That's where we started from. So today, you have people who insult you because you're a young person and question your capacity as to whether you can deliver or not. But look, if you continue to listen to the negatives, you think we'll be where we are today, and we are not where we want to be. But we are driven by the fact that all of these mistakes, all of these sacrifices we continue to make for the good of this country, for the good of ourselves, will make sense when our ideas are affecting real people. Look, let me end by telling you something. While we sit here, there's someone in Kwewu, there's someone in Laura, a youth who has not seen even a smartphone before. And I've seen that. There's a young person who's walking from about here to Circle just to ply his trade. Are we thinking about that person? So let's sacrifice for the future.